welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Yankees win Game 1 of the American League Division Series against the Kansas City Royals at Yankee Stadium by a score of 6-5. And the person that deserves the opening statement about in this episode is Alex Verdugo. Verdugo, who, was a question mark as to whether he would start in left field. I think it was up in the air as time went on, and I can't remember exactly when I spoke during the preview episode. At that point, I think I was already leaning towards Verdugo starting, just more as a prediction. Not necessarily that I wanted that to be the outcome, but that the way that the Yankees were talking and the way that it felt, that Verdugo was going to start left, and he did. And he ends up most notably with what was the game-winning RBI hit in the 7th inning to give the Yankees that 6-5 lead, which they would hold. But also, he had another hit as well that kind of got the Yankees going in the 3rd inning. He had a leadoff walk in the, it was either the 5th or the 6th. I think it was the 6th. Yeah, 6th inning. That was a key tying run, and he made a really, really nice catch down the left field line. And the score at the time was 3-2 Royals in the top of the 4th. If that drops in fair, that's potentially a 3-run Royal lead. So Verdugo, who was batting 9th, and this is someone who, upon his acquisition from the Red Sox, I was happy about that. Is he necessarily the most likable guy? No, but at the same time, I don't really have a major. Look, like that is what that is, and Verdugo, luckily, in this game, showed what he can do in a postseason moment. That was kind of the reason why I wanted him here, because just his style of hitting. And look, he did have some success with the Red Sox, most notably in 2021 when the Red Sox made it to the ALCS. This is someone that you figure, when he's right, would be well suited for postseason ball. So that was the big thing. More on a personal note, then we'll jump back in. There's a lot to discuss in this one. I actually went to this game and didn't actually sit down until the top of the 3rd inning. So it's pretty frustrating. Got there probably 45 minutes or so thereabouts in advance. So got there like reasonably before the game, and just getting into the stadium was an absolute nightmare in every way, shape, or form you can imagine. So, and the service outside the stadium isn't very good. So trying my best to kind of follow it. Obviously, since the game ended, I've seen the highlights, seen everything I needed to see, but my perspective is a little bit different. I walk into the stadium, we're in the bottom of the 2nd, and get to my seats at the top of the 3rd. It was a really enjoyable game overall, but yeah, just getting in there, I've never experienced it that bad, to the point where I basically missed a couple of innings of action, but either way, happy with the result. But yeah, this was a game that, 5 lead changes, which is a postseason record. I'm kind of surprised by that. Like, I knew when you think about this game, you think back and forth affair. Like, that is the perfect way to put it, but that's exactly what it was. Royals take the lead in the 2nd. Yankees jump back and take the lead in the 3rd. Royals take a 1-run lead in the 4th. Yankees take it back in the 5th. Royals take it back in the 6th, where eventually the Yankees take the lead for good in the 7th. There was never more than a 1-run lead. And that kind of speaks to that stat as well, obviously, right? It's easier to come back and have the lead flip when it's only a 1-run deficit. And that's what it was in this game. So I would not qualify this as a classic, but really it was a good game, not one that was necessarily pretty by the Yankees, right? So let's just kind of talk individual players. Let's kind of go about it that way, and then we'll go through sort of the play-by-play, because there's a lot to dissect. And if you're a Royal fan, that feels like one, I got to imagine, if you're a Royal fan, that's an opportunity missed, because Gerrit Cole was not on his game in this Game 1. Really, 11 hard hit balls, I think was the stat, just never quite had it. He went 5+ innings, he ends up allowing 3 earned runs, 4 overall. We'll talk about the Anthony Volpe error, which was pretty frustrating, which almost cost the Yankees. But 5 innings, 7 hits. Like I said, those 4 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and he allowed a homer to MJ Melendez in the 4th inning. So yeah, Cole, the line isn't great, and I would even say the eye test was possibly worse. So the Yankees That's big that the Yankees are able to get a win on a night where Gerrit Cole did not pitch like the ace. This was not a good outing for him. I would expect him to deliver in his next outing, most likely in game 4 against Kansas City. Now, you hope that somehow the Yankees can win it in 3. It's possible. I wouldn't bank on that, especially after watching this game 1. I think that this is going to be, again, my original prediction was Yankees in 5, and I'm not, kind of moving away from that. So, yeah, Cole was not very good. The bullpen was. Really, by and large, the bullpen really did a great job. And I want to, Luke Weaver deserves a lot of credit here, because I was thinking, like, Verdugo for me is like the spotlight performer, and there's others as well, but Luke Weaver was a very close second for me. The fact that he ends up getting a 4-out save, including 3 strikeouts, like he has stepped into that closer's role, and it's a little untraditional because he comes in, really, a lot of the times you're going to see him coming in the 8th inning. It's not going to be that traditional 9th inning closer's role that we've seen. Now, it almost did happen. If Tommy Kahnle gets a 1-2-3 inning, Weaver would have started the 9th, but it didn't go that way. He had to get the final out of the 8th and then goes to the 9th inning. So Luke Weaver has just been a godsend for the Yankees. Clay Holmes gets removed from the role, and Weaver takes it and runs with it. Speaking of Holmes, he actually gets the win. He gets 5 big outs. Now, the eye test with Clay Holmes, it wasn't great. Not much swing and miss at all. But the good thing about Clay was he was throwing strikes. That was the thing. At least there was that. So it wasn't as if command was an issue, but yeah, the ball, I don't think that Holmes has magically found it. I think they showed a stat. He only has 3 strikeouts in maybe his last 7 innings or so of work, but he does get 5 key outs, does get the win. So there was that. Let's go through the lineup one by one. And you know what? Let me first, since it's the first episode that I'm doing since the rosters became official, the Yankees ended up going with 15 hitters and 11 pitchers. And I had said that was a possibility on the preview episode. They ended up having Duke Ellis, the pinch runner, on the roster. That kind of makes sense, especially in a 5-game series where you don't need a crazy amount of pitching. Tim Mesa makes it, right? That he was probably one of the last pitchers on the bubble, if you will. And I had explained why I felt like he was going to be on there. He is. And so no Marcus Stroman, which I agree with. Like, what's the role there? No Mark Leiter Jr., no Clayton Beater. Like, to me, this was, and no Anthony Rizzo as well, which was expected. Ben Rice is on there. And then Jay Cousins healthy enough to be on the roster. So yeah, all in all, for what was available to them, I think that they made the right decisions with the choices. I really do. Nothing that I walked away with like, wow, I can't believe they did that. Pretty, I think some pretty sound decisions there. And this is fluid though, right? Whether that be injuries that occur mid-series or, if they do go to the LCS, different opponent, best of 7 series, not best of 5, you approach it differently. But there's that. As far as the lineup, I'd already said Verdugo was starting, but the one question mark beyond that was first base, and it was Oswaldo Cabrera, which I think was deserved. Is it going to last? I don't know. He looked good defensively. He did have a hit, which was a double. He also did strike out 3 times. But I think for now, as Waldo has that first base job at the moment, I would not expect any lineup changes next game. And I guess I'm jumping ahead there. The Yankees are facing lefty Cole Reagans, which will be tough. But I don't think that's going to necessitate or lead to any changes lineup-wise. So Oswaldo's in there for now. Would like to see, because I like Oswaldo and I want him to stay in lineup. So hoping that he can, do a little bit more offensively. But he certainly didn't, I wouldn't say he hurt his chances of keeping that role. And for him, the only other possibility, if they really want to do it, would be John Birdie. Starting him, I don't think they'll go that route. I don't. But that would be the more likely proposition if it's not as well. Like, it wouldn't be Ben Rice versus a lefty, I can assure you that. But I don't think Birdie's experience is enough at first. I don't think that they feel the need to do that. So that's that. Otherwise, the lineup, like, very much as expected. Volpe batting 7th, that might be the one sort of minor surprise, but that was kind of a way to split up the lefties. But yeah, don't love Volpe in the 7 hole, but that's here nor there. So let's go through 1 through 9, and I'm going to give you some thoughts on each player. So Gleyber Torres leads off another really, really nice offensive game for Gleyber, and didn't really make any mistakes defensively either. He did get thrown at home in the first inning. I don't really have that big of a problem with it. And maybe if I was sitting in my seat at the time, maybe I would view it differently. But honestly, given the situation, That's one of those things where that's not like, oh, Glaber being dumb. That's kind of what the situation presented itself, and Glaber tried to make the most of it. It wasn't like over aggressiveness; just it was what it was. But Glaber, he does hit a two-run homer. He walks a couple of times. There was one bad strikeout. There was, but Glaber gets on 3 of 5 times. Good table setter, like gets that leadoff walk in the first inning. So yeah, Glaber, all is well there. Juan Soto, 3 hits for Juan Soto, and could have been 4 actually. He was robbed of a hit at one point as well. So for Soto, like I have the utmost confidence in him more than anyone, and I guess that is kind of directed at Judge because we're going to get to Judge next. But Juan Soto, he's as clutch as they come. And I just think come postseason time, I trust that more than not, he is going to deliver. And he is such a big, big piece to add into this lineup. You think about years past, right? From 2017 onward. But now you have Soto in the lineup. It's a game changer, right? So Juan Soto, 3 hits. Aaron Judge, the postseason struggles do continue. He goes over 4, 3 strikeouts. Now, if they lost this game, I think that Judge conversation is loud and clear. But lucky for him, and hey, made a really nice play in the first inning, made a nice play in center field, tracking down a Bobby Witt fly ball. Like, so, like, at least, there were contributions made. Don't get me wrong. I know with my fellow Yankee fans, obviously with Judge, it can be a bit of a sensitive subject, but let's call a spade a spade. And I know it's just one game. And I know that Michael Wacha had amazing numbers against Judge too. So that's part of it. I get that. I mean, although Glaber had bad numbers against Wacha and he was able to kind of redeem himself there. Judge, again, it's the 3 strikeouts. It's the fact that second and third no out in the first inning, he strikes out, couldn't get them on the board. It's something that I have my eye on. And I think the worse it gets, the louder that the fans are going to start to say, hey, like, this is not someone that's really delivered in the postseason over a pretty large sample size since 2017. So I want to see that improve. Austin Wells, this is someone who was coming in really cold into the postseason. And in fact, the first 2 at-bats, it ends up being a spot where he was probably about 1 for his last, like 31 or 32, thereabouts. But then really, right, we talked about Alex Verdugo. We talk about Luke Weaver. Kind of next, although Glaber deserves his credit too. I'm not going to order it, but Austin Wells is one of the really big positives of this game. Comes up with a really big bases loaded walk to tie the game in the 5th. And then he comes up with an RBI single with 2 out in the 6th to tie the game up again at 5. So, and then even drew a walk against Lucas Erceg in the 8th inning. So for Wells, good to see, because I know he is someone that, like, he's one of the guys that you do want up there in those bigger situations. And even though he didn't come through in the first inning, good to see what he did later on. So for Wells, good stuff. I think if he had struggled, there probably would have been some talk. Hey, is it worth leaving him in the cleanup spot? But it certainly is. Giancarlo Stanton, with him, he ends up going 4-2 strikeouts, but I'll give him some credit in the fact that, bat quality. I mean, the first inning strikeout, that wasn't great. It wasn't, but had a long at bat versus Lucas Erceg later on that I believe that ends in a strikeout. There was a walk thrown in. The worst thing was honestly the bases loaded no out pop up to the catcher against John Schreiber. But here's the biggest problem with Stanton. It's that lack of speed on the bases. So a couple of instances where Oswaldo gets a double, another runner maybe scores. I'm not 100% sure on that, to be honest with you. I guess that was a play. That was a 2-out situation. But Stanton kind of just goes from base to base. And then Stanton gets thrown out on a really nice play by Michael Garcia. A ground out to third by Stanton where he hit the ball hard. So what I'm trying to say is Stanton, I have less of a problem. I thought the at-bats actually weren't all that bad. It's that lack of speed. And if you can pinch run for him, 7th inning or later, like you're just going to do it. You have to do it. It never happened in this game. And you don't want to lose that bat. You don't. But it's a reminder, that he is a little bit different, right? There's Slow, and then there is Stanton, who I think the biggest thing is it's not even a matter of being slow. It's a matter of he does not want to hurt himself. He is trying to play it safe and not, pull a hamstring, get some sort of oblique injury. So I get it, but it's one of those sad things. Jazz Chisholm Jr., what I liked about him was the defense. Really good, just fielding Showing that strong arm, not making it too tough on Oswaldo at first as well. So that was good. I thought Chisholm did a nice job, but where he makes his mark is the seventh inning. He gets a single to start it out, steals second on a very controversial steal, I might add. And we'll get there when we go through the play-by-play, but Jazz was ruled safe, and they determined that there was not enough conclusive evidence to overturn, which I do agree with. Was he potentially out? Yes. He may very well have been out, but by the letter of the law, was there enough full conclusive evidence to overturn? I don't believe there was. And that's not me being a Yankee. That's not me being slanted Yankees. Because like I said, he might have been out. And I think that if they ruled him out on the field, they would have stuck with that. So that's just one, you could consider that a break for the Yanks, no doubt about it. But again, I don't know for sure what he actually was. But Anthony Volpe, it's a negative. Now he had a bases loaded walk to give the Yankees a lead. I was surprised by that and pleased by that. But also a really bad strikeout in the seventh inning, right on that Chisholm steal, actually. But the biggest thing was a Volpe. Not that it would have been a double play, but Tim Hill's pitching in the sixth inning. Volpe has a play where he can at least get an out at second. Makes a nice sliding play to get there. And a pretty simple play at that point. And there was nothing Gleyber could do about it. I looked at it a million times. Gleyber, there's no fault there. Torres was positioned where he needed to be. Volpe just makes a bad throw. And it basically cost the Yankees 2 runs in almost the game. So Anthony Volpe, if you're not going to hit, you have to be sound defensively at short. And it makes me think things along the lines of, hey, maybe is Waldo at short and someone else at first. Maybe that's the better path to take. Now, we're not there. We're not really close to there. But again, Volpe, not great. Not great at all. Oswaldo Cabrera, we talked about him. No need to go any further. And we talked about Alex Verdugo. So, Verdugo really was the hero of the night. So let's go through this first inning. And we're probably going to, for these playoff episodes, we'll probably go through it a little bit more in depth because these are game recaps as opposed to the traditional regular season series recaps. But yeah, first inning for Gerrit Cole, he was hit hard from the jump. And one of those plays was the Witt flyout was a really nice play by Judge. Really excellent play by him to track that down. First inning for the Yanks starts out with a walk by Gleyber, double down the left field line, opposite field double for Soto, but then it fizzles out against Michael Wacha. And I should give you Michael Wacha's line. He goes 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a homer allowed to Torres. So not a great outing for Michael Wacha. Kind of started to look like maybe it was going to be decent, but yeah, not all that great. And that's kind of what you have to do. Because the truth is that Michael Wacha, he's going to be a little bit easier than Cole Reagans, than Seth Lugo. So at Yankee Stadium, this is a game the Yankees really had to win. To me, way more pressure on the Yankees. So for Kansas City, a missed opportunity, but by no means does it change the idea that Kansas City is still right in this series. So Judge strikes out. Wells grounds out to first. They throw Gleyber out at home. And then Stanton strikes out. So not a good ending to that first. Second inning, the Royals get on the board, but it could have been more. Sal Perez singles. Yuli Gurriel walks. So Yuli Gurriel is just a Yankee killer. He's 40 years old. And he was really, when you think about the Astros, right, he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Yuli Gurriel was someone who in 17, certainly in 19, he had big hits against the New York Yankees. And yeah, so you do have a little, so as far as the Astro blend, just a little bit does exist here in this series with the Royals with Yuli Gurriel. So he walks, makes it first and second, no out, and MJ Melendez delivers what could have been an RBI single, but Juan Soto throws Sal Perez out at home. And I understand why Perez was sent. Perez has no speed, but that was into deep right field. A really good throw by Soto home. But hindsight being 2020, if they could take it back, obviously they would have held him. And then if that's the case, this could have been a much bigger inning. That's a really big out. It leads to first and third, 1 out, and Tommy Pham gets the scoring going with a sac fly to score Gurriel. Gives the Royals 1-0 lead. Let's go to the bottom of the third. This is where the Yankees offense gets some runs. And Verdugo, opposite field single, and then Gleyber Torres, opposite field 2-run Yankee Stadium porch job. Give the Yankees a 2-1 lead. Again, Gleyber, it is so important that he has really looking like the player that we've seen in the past offensively. The Yankees need that in a major way. It really changes the feel of the lineup. So Torres gives the Yankees a 2-1 lead there. Then in the fourth, though, the Royals strike right back. And that was kind of the thing with this game was the response for both teams was there. And for the Royals, it certainly was. One out walk to Gurriel, and then a 2-run homer for MJ Melendez. And this was also a Yankee Stadium aided home run. This was a home run that you would not see at most other ballparks. So that makes it 3-2 Royals. And then later in the inning is where you get the really big catch by Verdugo. Michael Massey's up, first and second, 2 out. Massey hits a fly ball down the left field line. It would have been fair. It would have been fair. Verdugo is able to sprint over there. He was positioned more to left center field. He runs and makes the play. That was a really big play. And you know what came to mind a little bit too? Was like in 2022, mainly with Oswaldo out there, remember like the issues in left field? The defensive issues? Yankee Stadium's not an easy left field. And Verdugo has done a really nice job over there. And if nothing else, even if Dominguez, that's the thing. Like where as much as I want the potential of Dominguez's bat, the pop, right? Because with him, there's home run potential. There's on base potential, but the defense is very, very sketchy, especially in left field. Verdugo, he is your best defensive left field option. No question. And so that play should not be lost because if he doesn't make that play, there is especially with Maikel Garcia on first and 2 out, that's a 5-2 Royal game. And I don't know if the Yankees win that in that situation. So let's go to bottom of the fourth was that play where Oswaldo gets the 2-out double and Stanton was the runner and Stanton kind of had to delay it a bit and he ends up going to third. And then Verdugo, the one place where Verdugo does fuck up was he did pop out in foul territory to Maikel Garcia, the third baseman, on the second and third 2-out situation. But let's go to the bottom of the fifth. The Yankees get the lead back. Gleyber Torres walks. That was Michael Wacha's last batter of the game. Then they bring on Angel Serpa, a left-handed reliever for the Royals. He struggled. That was the thing. The Yankee bullpen was ultimately better than the Royal bullpen. That was big. Soto singles to make it first and second, no out. Judge walks. Bases loaded, no out. And then Austin Wells, lefty, works the bases loaded walk, tied up at 3. Then John Schreiber comes on and actually does a really nice job. He comes into a tie game, bases loaded, no out. Giancarlo Stanton pops out to the catcher. Jazz Chisholm Jr. grounds out to first. They get the runner out at home. But then Anthony Volpe, like I had alluded to before, he does get a bases loaded walk with 2 out to give the Yankees a 4-3 lead. And then Oswaldo Cabrera strikes out looking. So what really the Yankees could have really broken it open. They don't do that. And the score is 4-3. And then the Royals respond again. Top of the 6th, off of Cole, Yuli Gurriel singles on a hard line drive to left. It was hit so hard that he could only get a single. Really should have been a double. And Cole's out. So what a really bad performance. I'm going to say that. It was a bad performance by Gerrit Cole. And lucky the Yankees came out of there with the win. He needs to be much better next time. Tim Hill comes on. And Tim Hill kind of did what he does. It's just Yankee defense kind of failed him. So with 1 out and a runner on first, it's the Tommy Pham ground ball to Volpe that he throws away. Throws it past Gleyber. Becomes second and third, 1 out. They have Garrett Hampson pinch hit for Isbell with the Hill, the lefty on the mound. They bring in the righty Hampson. And what was a mistake in a 5-3 game at home, they bring the infield in against Garrett Hampson. And he ends up getting a 2-run single to the left side of second base. Somewhat, not quite up the middle. If the infield's back, I'm almost certain Volpe 1-run scores and they get the ground out. Volpe presumably fields it cleanly. So that infield in did kind of cost them the lead. Like they, I guess, had an attitude of, hey, we want to keep this 1-run lead, even if it means, losing the Royals taking the lead. And that's exactly what happened. So that's not a discussion that's had here because Yankees won, but definitely a curious one. And again, that Volpe fuck up leads to 2 runs by Kansas City unequivocally. So 5-4 there. And then Clay Holmes comes on, and Clay Holmes gets 5 big outs. And a nice play by Jazz Chisholm on a first and second 2-out grounder by Bobby Witt Jr. Chisholm he goes in front of Volpe and makes the play to get the speedy Witt. Now the lefty Sam Long comes on in the 6th, 5-4 Royal lead. Verdugo leadoff walk was really big. A not so good strikeout by Gleyber. and then Juan Soto singles. So Soto, a big part of some of these rallies, right in the middle of it. And then Michael Lorenzen, the righty, comes on. He strikes out Judge. And again, another failed spot for Judge. But the Yankees are able to bail him out, and it's Austin Wells that does so. So after Wells gets that walk, the inning before to tie it up, he ties it up again. And it was the Yankees' first hit with runners in scoring position of the night. It was Wells' hit in the 6th and Verdugo's in the 7th that were the 2 hits runners in scoring position. The Yankees end up going 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position, but hey, they get the 2 big ones. Wells there to tie it up, and then Stanton gets that ground out. Great play by Maikel Garcia. And if it's anyone other than Stanton, they probably beat it out at first. So anyway, 5-5 going to the 7th. Clay Holmes with a 1-2-3 7th inning. And then in the bottom of the 7th, Chisholm Jr. singles off of Lorenzen to start it out, and then Volpe, really bad strikeout. It should have been ball 4. I'm not even going to give him the excuse of, Jazz was running and it threw him off. You can't swing at that. And they call Chisholm Jr. safe at second. And like I said, it was a really close play, but the call, and it was reviewed, and the call on the field would stand. Certainly a controversial call that went in the favor of the Yanks. And then with 2 out, Chisholm on second, Alex Verdugo. And it's funny, I said it right before the at-bat. I said, Verdugo hit it, there's a hole between short and third. Now, it wasn't a ground ball, so it wasn't exactly what happened, but hey, hit it to left. Hit it between short and third, and on a line, he does it. Opposite field, game-winning RBI single for Verdugo to score Jazz Chisholm Jr. to give the Yankees a 6-5 lead. They then bring on Lucas Erceg to get Gleyber to ground out. I guess somewhat curious as far as why Chris Bubich, the lefty, wasn't brought in, with that lefty lane in the 7th, and then you had Erceg come in. It just feels like that was kind of just a missed spot. I don't know what Royals fans think, but I feel like that was a little mismanaged, because I think that Bubich would have had a much better time against Chisholm, against Verdugo, than the righty Lorenzen. 8th inning, they bring on Tommy Kahnle, gets a couple of ground outs, but then he does walk out Hampson. So a mixed bag there, because a good start, but a bad walk to Hampson. They bring on Luke Weaver, and he strikes out Maikel Garcia to end that inning. Then in the bottom of the 8th, Erceg strikes out the side with a Wells walk mixed in. Erceg is legit, and you don't want to be trailing facing Erceg. Luckily, the Yankees had a lead. And then to the 9th inning we go. Luke Weaver strikes out Michael Massey. He gets Bobby Witt to strike out looking, and a really, really intense big at-bat where Witt was up in the count 3-0, but then Weaver works his way back in and strikes him out. And I know Witt was upset, but look, that was too close to take, and he did get that first pitch. To be fair, like the first pitch of the at-bat was called a ball. That could have been a strike. So it kind of goes both ways. Good pitch by Weaver, and then he finishes Vinny Pasquantino. He grounds out to the first baseman, Oswaldo Cabrera, and Weaver gets all 4 outs, 3 strikeouts, and the Yankees win a back-and-forth affair in Game 1, 6-5. Big, big win for the Yankees. I cannot, I can't say anything else, because if they lost this game, the whole vibe is really, really different, and you're in desperation mode. So now Game 2, Cole Ragans versus Carlos Rodon. And look, I think that on paper, this is favorable to Kansas City. Now, the good thing for Rodon is, as I said in the preview episode, like the Yankees, Kansas City hitting is not as good versus lefties. And Rodon did have a pretty nice outing versus Kansas. Actually, 2 nice outings. I don't think I really made much mention of that in the preview episode. Rodon had 2 really good outings versus Kansas City. So there is that. For me, it's more the mentals. The good thing is Yankees are up 1-0 in the series, so that should take a little bit of the pressure away from Rodon. Rodon reminds me, it's like an A.J. Burnett situation where Sabathia is kind of the Cole, and Rodon's got the good stuff. He was a big ticket acquisition by the Yankees. I think it's like extremes with him in the playoffs. Even though he's been very consistent in the season when he's been on, I feel like either he's going to just like put up an amazing performance or kind of just completely shit the bed. Let's see what happens. I hope it's better. I hope it's more on the positive side, but Cole Ragans is going to be tough. There's no question about that. On this Yankee team, who does struggle versus lefties, but if the Yankees can win, I mean, this is obvious. They go up 2-0. Man, it's a pretty pivotal game in the series. The good thing is the Yankees can lose, and you're still feeling like, okay, 1-1, here we go. Theoretically, Kansas City would then have taken home field advantage from the Yankees, but it's not the end of the world. That's why this game 1 win was big. On the flip side, the Yankees can somehow win game 2. It's hard not to be feeling very confident being up 2-0, just needing one more win with 3 potential games to go. So Yankees get the job done in game 1. Cole didn't pitch well, but the Yankees are able to find a way. Wasn't pretty, but they do get the win 6-5. Alex Verdugo is the hero. He gets the game-winning hit, an RBI single in the 7th inning to give the Yankees the lead, and Luke Weaver was able to close it out with a 4-out save. So now we will see what happens in game 2 Monday night at Yankee Stadium, with the Yankees having a 1-0 lead in this best-of-5 series.